Yo, so in today's video, we're going to be talking melodies and how you can make them instantly better with these specific tips. Not only will they make your melodies better, but they're going to give you a unique flair that will separate you from the rest. So make sure you subscribe to the channel and let's jump into this one. All right, so the first tip we're going to cover is sends. So firstly, what is a send? A send is basically where we're taking a dry signal, say, well, it could be a wet signal, but we're taking a signal from, say, track 1, and instead of it going just to the master, we're going to let it go to the master, but we're also going to route it to another track. You can also route it just to that track, but we're just going to route it to this track number 2. Track number 1 is going to act as a dry track in this instance. And then we're going to route it to track 2, and we're going to add reverb to it. And then both of those signals from track 1 and from track 2 are then going to route back into the master. This is a really great way just for layering up your melodies. The sends are really good ways of just doing something differently. You know, we've got wet, we've got dry. We can adjust the volume of each type we want. You know, we can adjust the volume of the dry. If we want the dry to be nice and loud, we want the wet to be much lower, that's fine. It's just going to reduce the signal from 1. Hopefully that makes sense. Next up, let's talk about incorporating one-shots into your beats. So in this instance, we're going to be using my thermal one-shot kit. So here we're using this Arabic flute, and this Arabic flute ends up working really well. We time stretch it, we have fun with it. But what it does is it just adds a whole different feel. You know, you can experiment with the pitch on these. You can experiment with reversing it. You can experiment with the time manipulation. Do you want it to be double the speed, half the speed? You know, you can do all those different things. So let's talk textures. When I mean textures, I mean percussion textures, I mean vinyl sounds, I mean rhythms, you know, Foley recordings like an ARP from like a vintage synth. All these different things, again, they're going to add that character, they're going to add that dynamic to your melodies. And we can affect time shift with these. We can affect pitch. We can affect if it's reversed. Just adding to the melodies without it being too obvious and overwhelming. Just adding different subtle artifacts is a really great way to improve your melodies. Alright, let's talk automation. I'm a big lover of automation. Automating effects, you know, I always thought when I was first making beats, how can I do it so the effect's only on for this part and not on for this part, because this guitar's really loud here and I don't want this reverb on. But when it quietens down, the tail comes in. How do I get it to come on there so it kind of adds back to the sample because there's less to it there? This is how you do it. You want to have a effect in your mixer rack, right click it, create automation clip, and then it's going to be bring out the playlist. And what you're going to see in the playlist is pretty much what I'm showing you here. We've got these different lines and things like that. When it's all the way to the top, that means it's 100% on. When it's all the way to the bottom, it means it's 0%. Dry and wet, basically. 100%, it's fully wet with delay in this instance. 0%, there's no delay on it. Bass lines, so underrated, man. Adding bass lines with real bass guitars or emulations of guitars, sub basses, you know, the list could go on. Trying different rhythms and kind of following root notes of chords that you do is a really kind of good way to add character to your melodies. Couple of great bass presets I can recommend is it's in Octave Deluxe. It's like the Roland 60 bass, that's fire. Ilya Efimov bass guitar, that's fire. Some of the presets in Flex sub basses, they're fire. But you know, these can really add that atmosphere and that kind of depth to our melodies. Okay, this one, I feel like a lot of people don't cover this, but let's do it. Let's talk key changes. I think, you know, these can be utilized for intros, outros, bridges, you know, wherever you want to use them. If you need to change things up, definitely do that. So you can just take a pattern that you've made, make it unique, like duplicate it, make it unique. See where I've got it saying bridge here. Select all the items you need to change the key of, and then you can literally just press the little toggle down arrow and just put transpose selected. Using plus, you're going to go up a semitone, like however many you put. So if you put +3, you're going to go up 3 semitones from, say, A sharp to C sharp. Or if you did -3, you're gonna go down 3 semitones down to like G. Bro, this one is clutch. I want to shout out Infinite for putting me onto this one. He put it up on a video. Adding markers, I believe using Control T, I think it is, or Alt T. I'll put the keyword here. This shit is clutch for producers using your loops. You know, I've had producers send me markers on the loops, and it's so much easier to figure out what parts what, where it's stemmed out, where the sample starts. Make things easier for yourself and other people if you plan on sending out your loops. This one's fire, Subtractive EQ. By basically, let's say subtracting between -1 to -5 dB in certain areas of your samples is a really good means to make things stand out. For example, with a guitar, you know, we could boost the mids on the 4-band. We could reduce the mids on the 4-band of a vocal, but then boost the high, you know, and the treble kind of bands to increase the presence of the vocal there so it doesn't clash. Subtractive EQ is going to allow certain elements to shine through or not be as so dominant over other elements. But a good way to avoid this is making sure you pick different instruments that work in different frequency spaces. But in all due respect, you're going to eventually pick stuff that is in the same frequency space that does still work. So doing these subtractive EQ steps will really help to make things blend and not seem really overwhelming. This one is something I've been really making a conscious effort to practice a lot more frequently, and that is called panning your audio. So what do I mean by this? Let's say in this instance we got 3 melodies. First melody, that's going to sit right in the center, and it's going to sit below vocals in a rap beat, let's say. The 2 other melodies, let's say we're going to sit them at 50% like this. What that's going to do is allow space for the melodies to have their own kind of spot. Let's say we've got a top line piano melody here, we've got a synth melody here, for instance, and we've got our main kind of let's say piano melody here. This is going to allow the mix to open up and allow things to not sound as clustered. Okay, now this one is super underrated, especially in the information age we live in. You can just type in on the internet, for example, Coding Crazy or any tracks you like. I'm just picking Coding Crazy by Future. We can find the chords they use, the BPM they're using, and we can recreate that, not to copy them, but to actually understand the formula of chords and the chord progression that you can use in any key then at that point, and be like, oh, that's why I like this song. This kind of progression invokes this emotion in me or that emotion in me. So that has been really helpful for me, especially. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you smash a thumbs up, comment below, and make sure you go ahead and support the channel. We've got a great kind of selection of sounds at the link in the description if you're looking to improve your production, you're improving your drums. Make sure you go check it out. All linked in the description. Peace.